Hi there, it is Nadia, the astrologer for people who don't believe in astrology but who don't mind listening to forecasts for the year 2025 and to not take them too seriously, but maybe just enjoy. I am broadcasting from the Canary Islands, from Tenerife, where I'm celebrating the New Year's. You can see the birds, you can hear the birds, you cannot really see them, although maybe we will get lucky. So let's start with Aries and talk about what the Aries people should expect from 2025. Now, Aries is the sign of a hero, and in 2025, it would be hugely beneficial for the Aries people to remember about that. Why? Because they experience a lot of pressure already. And I'll start with the bad news. This pressure is likely to increase, especially I'm talking about the early Aries who are born in March, basically. Why? Because the most important thing that happens to the sign of Aries in 2025 is that Saturn, the very demanding planet, the taskmaster, the coach who is, it wants the best for you, right? But its methods are harsh. There's no denying it. It will enter your sign at the end of May 2025. It will stay in your sign for a few months until September. Then it will retrograde back into Cancer. Those slow planets like Saturn, they have a retrograde phase every year. But in the next year, 2026, it will go again into Aries and it will spend another 2.5 years in your sign. And those 2 to 3 years that the strict planet Saturn spends in your sign is the time to get serious about your life. Usually people feel it. They feel like they have not been doing something that needs to be done and that now is probably the time to do it, to be more demanding of yourself, to get serious about yourself. So it's a good time to invest in something that is difficult and time-consuming and fundamental to lay the foundation for your future prosperous and successful life. A foundation is not something that you immediately feel very comfortable in. It's a foundation for the future building. So whatever you're building now or whatever you will start building in 2025 may not start out as something very cozy and relaxing, but you will feel it in yourself that, yes, this is the time for me. I want to start it. I want to get serious about my life. Sometimes this Saturnian pressure comes from the inside, from this sudden longing for a life that has weight and importance. Sometimes circumstances organize themselves in a way that makes a person to get serious. Sometimes also when a person has been underperforming or not taking responsibility for certain things, then the consequences of that may catch up with them when the Saturn hits their sun. So considering that Saturn in 2025 will only pass through a very small segment of Aries, this is mostly important to those born in March, maybe even before the 27th of March. If this is not you, do not invent this pressure unless you feel it. But even if you don't feel it, maybe think about your life in a more serious manner. Think about what you want to achieve. Think about what you want to build. If you don't feel the pressure, do not pressure yourself to do it. Just, plant this idea into your mind. Another extremely important thing that happens at about the same time, also in spring, another slow planet, Neptune, is also entering Aries. And it will also only be in Aries for a few months. Then it will retrograde back into Pisces. But it means that during the summer months, Saturn, the extremely demanding and strict planet, will be working together with Neptune. And Neptune is, I wanted to say that Neptune is kind of like the opposite of Saturn, but most of the other planets that are not Saturn are kind of like the opposite of Saturn. And the important thing is, what is the difference between this planet and Saturn? So when it comes to Saturn versus Neptune, it's mostly tangible versus transcendental. So Saturn is really into the tangible things and rules and regulations and the real reality. And Neptune does not have a lot of respect for that. Instead, it respects the reality of dreams, of spiritual experiences, of beauty. And when the two come together, and you have to work with both of them together, I'm talking to the early Aries who are born in March, then you would have to integrate those energies. And that is not easy. So you have to find some task that will satisfy both the Saturn and the Neptune. I have 3 options for you, but maybe you will come up with something else. So option number 1 is doing something hard that is in line with your spiritual and philosophical beliefs. So if you believe in something and your soul is clearly, longing for it, and it's hard, do that. Another thing is doing something hard. With Saturn, it's always something hard, something difficult, something that will resist your efforts. So the second option is doing something hard or something difficult in conditions where you don't have all the information. It's difficult to orient yourself. So Neptune is kind of like this foggy planet that does not give us certainty, and instead we have to rely on intuition and feeling and just trust the process. But remember, Saturn is also there. You have to put in a lot of effort. It has to be hard. It has to be something difficult. And it seems like a bad recommendation. Do something hard and difficult and invest a lot of energy into something where you don't even have all the information. But for the Aries people born in March in 2025 and also in 2026, this is actually the way. This is one of the things that may end up being successful. Option number 3 is creating a beautiful illusion that also requires a lot of work. So it could be the work of fantasy or sci-fi writers or movie people or artists. So something that is beautiful and captivating, that would be the Neptunian part of it, right? But also a lot of work, which will be the Saturnian part of it. That's amazing. That's good. So I talked about Saturn, I talked about Neptune. There is another thing that also may be important for the early Aries people. Before Neptune and Saturn move into Aries, Venus and Mercury will enter Aries, and then they will turn retrograde in March, in March. And so if they go through this early degrees of Aries, and you were born on the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, it means that they will pass where your sun is, where your natal sun is, and then they will retrograde. So by astrological logic, it means that since sun is responsible for your identity, for your narrative, for the story that you are creating about yourself, this would be a good time to rethink it, reevaluate it. Think about, what do I actually value in my story? How do I understand it? How do I tell it? What kind of a character I am? Am I happy with it? Or maybe not, It's a good time to reconstruct that somehow, Make it maybe not better immediately, but at least get an orientation about what you're happy with, what not, right? And then you give yourself time, because Later on, after Venus and Mercury retrograde through this area of Aries, Saturn will come, and with Saturn, everything takes time, everything you have to actually really do and wait for the results. So all of that was more important for Aries who were born in March. If you were born in April, then the more important factor could be Chiron. Chiron is an asteroid that helps us deal with aspects of our psyche or processes in our body that hurt. So it's a healing asteroid. The really annoying part about the healing that comes with Chiron is that it's not a spontaneous healing. It's not like Chiron is transiting your sun and suddenly you are feeling well. No, you have to actually dig into things. You have to actually research. You have to look for people who can help you. You have to identify the problem, be sensitive to it, acknowledge it. You know, if something is not the way you want it to be, step number one you have to do is acknowledge it. Pay attention to what works, what doesn't work, what hurts, what is not the way you wanted it to be. Keep in mind that sometimes Chiron would intensify the discomfort to make sure that you are paying attention. And yeah, if this is happening to you, take it as a sign that this is the year to learn how to take better care of yourself. Finally, to the good news. So the solar eclipse of the 29th of March is an amazing time for Aries born between March and April, so like late March, early April. And it can catalyze the processes that you already set in motion and make them develop faster. And you can experience some events that you would later describe as fateful, very important for your narrative, for the plot. And I would recommend, if you are an Aries born late March, early April, try to set something in motion, because solar eclipse is a catalyst. It cannot invent things for you, but it can help the momentum. Another possibly important thing, is that you may experience in the year 2025 some changes in your home and family situation. What I mean by that is that in the beginning of the year, it may start out as some tension or conflict or stress. You have to do something or fight for something or fight about something, or you're scared of something, or you are trying to win something, right? And this will be Mars retrograde and then direct in Cancer. And then at the end of 2025, Jupiter will station at the same degrees of Cancer. And Jupiter is the planet of luck and abundance and optimism and ambition. So it will bring with it some cool opportunities that have to do with improving your family and home situation. Maybe move to a place that you are happier with, or renovate or restructure your family life or whatever. Or maybe you will get some beautiful, valuable things from your family. Also a possibility. So all in all, this is a great year to reevaluate your direction. A good year to get serious about your life. Take good care of yourself. And maybe also use some opportunities to improve your home and family situation. The most important thing is getting serious. Look for this feeling inside of you that tells you, I want my life to be more, to have more weight, to have more importance. I want to feel like I did something that I will respect myself for, and something that I have not done yet. So something new. What do I want to build? what would I change if I do get really serious about my life? You don't necessarily have to do it in 2025, but look for that feeling. It's a very important feeling. It will allow you to spend the next 2 years, 2026 and 2027, with more meaning and more purpose. And then after that, Saturn will leave your sign, Chiron will leave your sign. You will have done something difficult for which you will respect yourself, and the other people will respect you as well. And you will have done everything you could to take care of yourself, to heal, to feel better. And that would be amazing.